Hey everyone, it's been a minute since I made a video. It's been so long that I changed my couch. Bought it for 40 bucks, pretty worth it. But wait, what are we talking about again? Oh yeah, FNAF. Do you guys know that one character, Fredbear, and how there's like a bunch of fan games based around him? A bunch of them might be the same shit over and over, but I think I found one that is supposedly the best out of all of them. And that one is Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot. Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot is a FNAF fan game made by Garrett McKay, released in July 2018. The story of this game is that your son has gone missing, and you go investigate Fredbear's family diner with your private investigator on the radio, seeking out clues for where your son went and more about the suspect, William Afton. But this place is filled with traps and you have to escape the building. I remember finding out about this game when I was watching Dako's playthrough of it, and I found the game very fun and interesting, so I decided to play it myself. And oh boy, I was having a blast. While the game might have been difficult, the gameplay was generally fun, especially with all the unique mechanics and the cool looking characters alongside with it. This game generally has to be one of the best FNAF fan games out there. But let's actually focus on the game itself. When you open the game, you get your ordinary menu. But when you start discovering characters in the game, there's a tip button in the top left corner. To tell you about the animatronics mechanics, this is actually a pretty neat idea. It could be useful if you're not sure what a specific animatronic does. When you start a new game, a cutscene is shown. It shows the old Fredbear and Spring Bonnie suits being replaced by the new Freddy and Bonnie suits, including a new Chica animatronic. One detail I really like is how Fredbear's mouth is shut closed because of the bite of 83. After, you seem like to be inside of a car, drive to Fredbear's family diner. Your private investigators give you instructions before you enter the building. You eventually arrive and enter. I really like this part because it makes the beginning of the game more interesting, instead of it just immediately starting in the office. When you enter, you are set in an office. Your objective is to disable all the cameras and their audio, but unfortunately, you're not alone. When you look to your right, you can see a hallway. You can see better if you use the flashlight by holding the control button. If you see Fredbear or Spring Bonnie in front of you, you'll have to hold shift to hide under the desk. You can go back up once you hear them leave. I honestly like that this isn't an ordinary FNAF fan game. You have to survive to 6 AM, and instead you have an objective. On camera 3, an animatronic called Prototype will eventually appear. Once they appear, you want to flash the flashlight at them until they leave. After you disable all the cameras and audio, you get a cutscene. The cutscene is about testing out Freddy to make sure nothing's wrong with him. After the cutscene, you are set in the storage room. An animatronic called Max is right in front of you. His mechanic is if the curtains are to open more and more, click the button on the Max to close them. But if you look on your right, there's a door with a button next to it. Your objective is to generate the door until it's 100%. When I first played this, it was quite difficult. Just balancing between how much time I should generate the power for and how often I should check on Max was very confusing, but then eventually I beat it. After, you get another cutscene, which is about testing out the arcade cabinets. The first one had a game called Golden Comet. It's basically a game about being in space and shooting flying pizzas. Weird, I know. It works perfectly, so then we move on to another arcade cabinet. This has a game called Sneaky Guy, with music that sounds like it was composed by Satan himself. There's actually a secret in this game, but I'll show it later. The game is basically like the FNAF 2 minigames. It's not that special. The game ends up malfunctioning, which means it needs to be fixed. After, you sit in test room 1, which actually kind of reminds you of FNAF 4's bedroom. There's two animatronics, Mousey and Roger. Mousey will appear in the front or left door. When he does, press space to flash him with a hyper flash. And for Roger, all you have to do is crank the figure on the front of the room. Your objective is to pull up the vent on your left to get out of the room. I'm gonna be honest, this part was pretty short and easy. After, we get another cutscene. There's a room labeled exit, but then we get attacked. Then it seems like we're in a room, listening to a cassette tape about wearing the Freddy suit, or at least that's what I think it is. But whoever voiced the phone guy seriously did a really good impression of him. We wear the Freddy suit, then another cassette tape plays. It's about safety when you're wearing the suit, but then we start shaking and hyperventilating, then it just cuts to black. After, we're in test room 2. There are 4 animatronics: Rotten Freddy, Rotten Bonnie, Rotten Chica, and Rotten Foxy. At the front, there's a lever and a hallway, while on the other side of the office, there's a desk with a fan on it. Your objective is to survive for 6 minutes, and there are a lot of mechanics in this section, but I'll try to explain them as fast as I can. When your toxicity rises, use your gas mask. Rotten Freddy will appear on the left vent, while Rotten Chica will appear on the right vent on the cameras. You have to deactivate the ventilation, but be careful, because doing so makes your toxicity rise extremely quick. Rotten Bully will appear on the other side of your office when he gets really close. Hold spaces around the fan. It will mess up his detection sensors and make him leave. And Rotten Fox will appear in the middle of the hall. When he does, put the lever down to shut down the power. Then, put the lever back up to turn the power back on. Anyway, I actually really like the mechanics in this section. They were actually pretty unique, and so were the animatronics. But after there's another cutscene. All the cutscene is about is just cleaning Freddy's suit. Nothing that interesting, but cool, I guess. After you're in the final test, you're sitting in an office with a few tools, a piece of paper, and cables. The piece of paper is to hide Security Freddy's eyes so he can't see you. And the cables are used to shock Security Bunny when he appears on the right side of your office. Security Fredbear will fuck around with your cameras, make it so you have to reboot your cameras. And finally, Suit. You can fight Suit on the cameras using the locate button. His mechanic is that when he's on the cameras, you need to wait until his eyes start glowing. When his eyes stop glowing, press the return button. If you press the return button while his eyes are glowing, the button will be temporarily disabled. At the last cutscene, you try to repel Suit using the controller, but it's broken, so they end up killing you. Then you get some weird footage of the Freddy suit moving on the cameras. This is the tragic ending. But there's another ending, which is called the end. It's basically the good ending. The way you get it is first, go to extras and play the minigames. In Sneaky Guy, you need to go through a secret wall. You'll see a table with a white box. When you go over the white box, you'll see the numbers 32. Now Golden Comet, you just need to beat the game. When you do, it'll show 1975. Now if you combine those two numbers, you'll get 321975 or 197532, but that's not the right one. This kind of sounds like a code. Well, it is. You know when you're moving to the storage room, right? Yeah, instead of going straight, you can go to the left. You'll see a keypad. Then we type in the code that we got earlier. Then we'll see a machine. This is actually the machine we tried to use to repel Suit, but now it's fixed. You'll have to beat the game again, but then when Suit tries to attack you, click the button as fast as you can. Then it will make Suit go into Suit mode. Then after, there's a cutscene. The cutscene is about Fredbear and Spring money getting recycled, and the company getting shut down because of the disappearance of the CEO, William Afton. Then we get the ending. After we beat the game, that's not it. There's an extras mirroring where it shows the animatronics, cutscenes, and there's even an insane mode, and yes, you can get an ending from it. But there's also a custom night, called the Custom Room. Even though there's only 7 of the characters, it's still cool. But can someone explain why the security animatronics have actual name? Like, who the fuck is Louis? But that's really all for Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot. And I'm gonna be honest, it's actually a pretty good game. And not to mention, the game was released in 2018, which means this game's pretty old. I definitely recommend playing this game, it's genuinely fun. So, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.